Here.
Ray.
Here.
Larry.
Here.
Daniel. Marshall.
Here.
And county manager.
Here.
All present.
Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Number 22 in old business, we're gonna table it out to the April meeting.
Okay. Do I have approval of the minutes? Or, I'm sorry, on the agenda?
I'll motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Approval of the minutes from the February 27th special meeting?
I motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Claims and transfers. General, $131,835.24.
I'll make a motion.
All in, second, please?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Water, $26,843.93.
I'll move.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Wastewater, $333,707.31. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Payroll 4. $21,032.72.
So move.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Payroll 5. $23,126.78. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Town Marshal.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The report today, we're at our 60-day mark for the year. And one of the things I did, since we've been doing this report the last several years, I included the last 3 years to this point. So kind of apples to apples, if you will. So from January 1st till March 10th, of course, this year it's 60 days, with last year been 59. And one of the things that I'll point out, I mean, our calls for service right now are 368 calls for service, agency assist 62, police service 311, traffic arrest 26, moving arrest 18, warnings with 266 warnings already for the year. Truck arrest 2, crashes investigated 22, we had 3 DUI arrests, we had 9 warrants served, 15 criminal arrests, 11 of those are 11 felonies. 6 drug arrests. So we've been putting quite a few hours and such out there. If you look through your packet and look to the 4th slide in there, what I've done is a comparison, because I know at the special meeting we had to talk about with the police department, we got to the point where we had 24-hour coverage. We had full coverage. And what this does, it really kind of gives you a comparison to take a look at the calls for service. If you take a look at the total calls for service for Cloverdale, in 2018, we had 381 calls for service. We surged up to 715, and once again, this is January 1st till March 10th, where we're at exactly today. And I will tell you, since I did this around noontime today, I think we've answered, 3 other calls for service today? Yeah. But at any rate, then you'll see here in 20, we've dropped off from the 715 that we had in 2019 when we were 24/7. We had 4 officers full-time out on the road. We dropped down to 440 calls for service. If you look over to the far right there, you can see with the Putnam County Sheriff's Department in 18 and then already this year, they've been taking about 16% of our calls. But the part that troubles me is if you take a look at the middle, the orange, if you will, in 18 when we were 24, we're missing about 300 calls for service that proactive policing, when you have people on the street, are picking up on. And the sheriff's department, they're responding to calls, reacting to calls, but they're not proactively out there on the street doing what our officers do. So that's one of the considerations when we look this year, and we're trying to figure out what to do with the police department, because I know it's gonna come up about as far as the police budget. You know, I think I would love to see a strategy, come up with a strategy or way at some point to be able to get an additional officer down the road so we can get back to that 4 officers on the road so we can work into a little bit better coverage around the clock. So I want to point that out. The back page, we got the arrest for the month of February, which you can pretty well see we're about on par there. I think we had 9 this time, and a few of those faces you've probably seen before. So we've got a few of our repeat offenders. One of the things in the special meeting I asked, we're going to revisit today. I've got Levi in the room here, but I wanted to get a pay raise for him. We're going to try to get him to a salary of $40,000 with 25 cent shift differential, because he works the late night shift from 3 p till 3 o'clock in the morning, which would take into an annual income. Figuring that into his hours would be like $40,520 would be his salary. And then with that, would be bumping the sergeant up to 1,000 to 43.5, and also James, who works at the school, who's sitting at 32.5 right now, give him another 1,000, and we bring him up to 33.5 until he goes to the academy and gets a year in, and then we'll revisit where we're at with him.
That'll be half us and half the school on that.
On James, yes. So 1,000 of him would be really 500 for us and 500 for the school.
Thank you.
Steve, what do you pay, what's your shift differential?
25 cents.
An hour?
That's it. Yes, ma'am.
You can't bump it to 50 cents either?
Well, right now, I'm not, taking a look at where we're at finance-wise.
That's
I'm
it, your max?
Well, for right now, I mean, if we can revisit at some point in time, but right now, my main thing is we don't, you know, Levi, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I know Bainbridge would like,
I think he's looking at like a long-term commitment too, where there will be bumps
Oh, tiered?
incrementally throughout more
Okay.
time.
yeah, we're wanting to develop a matrix that
Okay.
makes sense, so
You
we
mean
can
like a range for a position?
kind of, sort of, well, where you have some benchmarks that you get to, depending
Right.
on how much service and such.
Gotcha, okay.
With the SRO raise, when it comes time, will you have to have that approved through the school since they're paying half? Or is it just whatever?
It will be, but I've already had dialogue with the school superintendent, and in the initial grant that they've got, I think they have some, leverage or some room in there they can work with on that. So I guess that's a question to y'all on his raise.
You need a motion, somebody?
What does he make now versus what is the proposed amount?
He makes 32.5 right now.
So
I
it's,
think we need to discuss some of this stuff, because if that has happened, somebody's gonna have to get laid off. It's either gonna be Trina, or I'm gonna have to give, you can't take my salary back. The council's gonna give up some of their salary, or you're gonna have to do away with the building inspector to do this. They get 72% of the budget in salaries. You're spending $68,564 on the town council, the town clerk, the deputy clerk, and the building inspector, and the police gets $180,520. That's 72% at $251,334.
Okay, what about a portion of that 18,000 that was in the salary ordinance?
So that went to the raise, so you gave Levi a $9,020 increase in the last 4 months. You're giving another 1,000 for, Adam, who's been here 60 days, and then you're giving, the officer SRO the, $1,500 increase.
That was
That was
500.
500.
1,500 with
500.
33,000.
500, it's $1,000 split, 50-50. So 500 from the school and 500.
I had it at 33%, so okay, I got you. So it comes up to $180,520 when you add Steve's 60,000, the police sergeant's 43.5, the deputy marshal 40,520, the part-time crime investigator at 20,000, and now you have 33,000 or 1,500.
Okay, when you took, Rick down from his 31.5
$31,500.
to 20,000, what happened to that 11.5?
Okay, let's go back, let's start all over again, because how do I explain this to you guys? So here's the budget. So when I go to the DLGF, and this will be in July, this is what I give them. These are escalated amounts. Blown up. I blew these amounts up to get the most money as I can from the county and the state. So this is what Steve's going by. I don't really have that 18,000. When I do that, I take the salary ordinance and I give them all the top pay, like 34,000, Steve is at 60, the 42,500, I give everybody the top pay, that's not what they're actually making. I'm blowing it up to that. So you guys turned around and gave them a raise and gave them 40,000, that was completely out of my bracket, so that 18,000 really wasn't there. I just added it in as like overtime. I escalated that number. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, I'll tell you another way of doing it. Go to the second page there. What's my budget there? $690,000.
Mm-hmm.
This is how much I actually got. It's an estimated cost. I blow it up and try to get the most I get. I never get the full amount. So I got $602. I had to cut that budget. I'll give you all this too. So when Steve was looking at all that and said, well, I have this amount of money, he is going on the $690,000 instead of the money I'm actually getting. When I go into the DLGF and go into my hearing, these are the worksheets that I get. I give them. I give them the revenue report. This is all the revenue coming into the town of Cloverdale.
Which is the 673.
673 out of these accounts.
Right.
But then here's the money that the town can generate on their own. This is for the general property tax, it's $290,000. How much did I say it was? $180,000 that came in. The fit tax, lottery trap. If you look and see, Gary Bennington asked the other day how much did the building inspector bring in? $640 or $6,410. Plus you have to sign permits and the documents and all that. Here's the next thing I give them. I gave you the fund. Did I not give you the appropriation sheets? You're losing my space. Okay, this is the fund sheet for June. So this is June. This is my ending fund. I got $233,000 in the fund.
Thank you.
And then they go and they do appropriations for that month. I think I would give you guys that appropriation. And then this is what they give me, a budget estimated financial statement, tax. And then they give me the current year, financial worksheet. Get my pages.
Cheryl, can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
So the gateway reports, what are the gateway reports then?
The gateway reports, this report here is actually the money that I received. So my receipt was $602,000,
Okay, because.
and I dispersed 510.
Well, my question is this, because I went over, pulled the great gateway reports,
Okay,
and it shows the amount that was submitted, and it shows adopted, and it's showing the police department with $236,745. So you're saying that's not good, so I'm into March, and I still don't know what my budget is for salaries.
well,
Because you handed me my budget, and you marked that 236,745, which Gateway is showing was adopted, you marked it out, and you put down 211,000. That 18 was included in that 211,000, okay? And that was for overtime if we were bringing part-time overtime in here. I'm willing to sacrifice, get that out of the way so I can get him a pay raise, okay? So now you're telling me we don't even have that money.
that's right. So if you spend everything that was adopted, you're gonna actually have nothing, and then from December to June, I'm not gonna have any money left at all to pay the bills for. It's an 18-month budget. You're working on a 12-month budget. I escalated those numbers to get us through. I never,
Okay,
Okay.
help me understand this, because I went through the Gateway report, and I went over the last several years of income, or what's been paid out, and that's the actual amount that's been paid out, correct? Because when I went over that, and I saw that the front office up here increased by 30%, in salary, 32,000, I know they got different lines, because some of it comes out of wastewater and all that kind of stuff, but you can adjust the percentages that goes to that pay, correct?
right, it's in your salary ordinance.
Well, I'm clear, yeah, I saw that, because you got certain percentages. So my point is, the front office has increased by $32,000 in salary, okay? Because we're here in the police department, I'm losing officers can't cover on the street. Your building inspector, town manager, got 3 different pay raises, almost $25,000 in the last 3 years.
Building inspector, aren't you making $20,000?
But together, combined, he's making 60, according to what Gateway shows, he made $68,098 is what it shows the payout.
Well, my question on that also, since the building inspectors come up, we're paying $20,000 for a building inspector, but we've only brought in $6,000 in inspection fees.
Okay, but this is
So
how
we've
that
lost
works.
$14,000 there.
This is how this works. So the building inspector fills out these reports. They get $108 or $105 for a building inspector report. I get this report. I send it to the assessor's office. The assessor comes out and reassesses everybody's property as the value increases. So that increases the overall assessment for the year. So he actually brought in over $2 million because of all the homes that's being built. That's increased our assessed value, and it helped the town. Now, you can go to the county, I think you guys did, you asked for the county to cover,
At one time,
The
we started
town?
pursuing that, yes.
and he wasn't gonna do it for $20,000.
Well, then my last question would be, the street department on here, their salary income has gone up since 2017, and I went through and pulled them out, has gone up 82,423 to the street employee. And I don't remember any of that coming before the council. I've been sitting here for most of the council meetings. I'm asking about one employee that I've got, who's the 3rd lowest paid full-time employee we got here, who's out here running calls on the street. And now it's like this is a major muscle move to try to get him a pay raise. And
I don't have an issue with the pay raise. What I have an issue is that we are spending way too much money. We have gone from 2019, you get 49% of the town's budget. The 2017, you had 48% of the town budget, and in 2014, they had 23% of the town's budget. We're growing so fast, we're only as good as the taxpayers' money that comes in. That's how we get paid.
but you haven't, okay, help me understand
We're
this.
growing so fast, but our police officers are only running half the calls because we don't have any police officers.
Well, and I understand that.
So
and
we
then-
have to accommodate the growth with our frontline protection for the community.
And I guess, Cheryl, what I'm really confused about is how I'm kind of getting beat up with the police department, and you've had a conversation with me that you said we're bankrupting the town, but I take a look at my salary, I think the total amount on it, when you add in the operation costs and all that stuff, is $330-something or whatever, $360-some thousand. And you take our pay out of here, but I'm looking, you double the size of the front office, with full-time people. And then with street department stuff, I mean,
The only
that's what,
person that I hired full-time was Susie.
okay,
There is no other person. Trina and Susie are my only two full-time.
okay.
But your payroll went up.
Kelly is part-time.
But it seems like payroll for administration has gone way up.
Remember,
Payroll for water and sewer has gone way up. But the police department, we keep cutting back.
Well, in,
And that's the alarming part, is their call for service. I mean, and we don't have our 24/7 police coverage that we used to have.
so in 2019, we had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 police officers in 2019.
But they all weren't here at the same time, because some were here, they left, then we hired another one, then they left.
But it came
those-
out of the salary, it came out of your budget. You
But not a
went to-
full 10 officers. It was an
200
officer for 3 months or an officer for.
I understand, but their salary was $201,083.91. I didn't budget that kind of money for them. I budgeted $186,000.
What was your administrative budget for that same period?
You know, I'd have to go back and look. But if they're at 30, or let's see, 33%, our administrative is 33% compared to their 49.
Can you guys have a budget meeting? Daniel, can they have like just a payroll budget meeting separate from what we're all here for?
The question is, it's not that I don't think that he should get the raise. I do. It's just, where's the money going to come from to do it?
Well, I think we all have, the best interest at hand, but there seems to be a lot of confusion, between all of you in terms of the budget and payroll, and you're throwing them all kinds of spreadsheets. He's done homework. I'm sure other people have done homework. We're asking these guys to review things within a split second. And this is a lot more than just 1 hour of information, I think, that needs to be discussed and understood. You can't resolve this issue in the last 10, 20 minutes. We're gonna be here till midnight. And Don Geddard is also shaking his head, yes. I think this is important enough of a subject matter, a topic, an agenda item, that you should have a meeting that is just for this topic.
I think what we need to do is you guys tell me, what is Steve's budget? Do you want him to have the inflated budget or the money that we're actually going to be getting for the year? That's $590,000 compared to $709,000.
Well, in the last couple of meetings, I think I've been asking for a monthly report to be given to Steve so he knows what his budget is.
Well, and
And
then
he
when I
still
tell him,
doesn't know what that budget is.
so when I give him the deflated or the inflated one, is
We
that the
haven't
one
given
you
him
want me
either
to
at
give
this
him?
point, have we, Steve?
Well, no, the last one I had was the 211,000, because you gave me the first one and you marked out the 236,745. I'm into March now, and I'm trying to figure it out. We've talked about that 18,000. You said that was there, because that's what we're gonna pay part-time out of. So I'm willing to sacrifice any part-time, because one thing, none of the other officers are gonna come down here and work for 16 an hour. They want 35 an hour, because that's what the sheriff's department works. So I said, let's take that 18,000 we said we had earmarked. I'd rather pay it to my officer so I keep this young man here instead of him going elsewhere. Because we put 10 grand in the first officers that we got through the academy, and they go out the door, and that's why the budget, like you were talking about last year, because you gotta keep rebuying these things.
Well, my recommendation would be, you just suggested that we get rid of building department and council take salary cuts to accommodate the police
You cannot
officer.
take salary cuts.
What I would suggest is we have a building inspector who's doing building inspecting and town manager on a payroll already, and he's able to accomplish both jobs. Move that building inspector fund into the police fund to compensate our officer to keep him, and combine the building inspector with the town manager as one job.
I think that's a great idea. You guys,
We're already paying Wayne a salary to do the job. He's able to accomplish both jobs on the same salary.
like I said.
And we need a police officer right now, I think, as bad as we do a building inspector.
So just for
Yeah, you
clarity,
cannot separate that. It's
I'd like the council to address this, and if the audience could just refrain from comments for now, just allow the council an opportunity to talk through this, please.
So the salary ordinance showed 40,000 for building inspector, but we don't have that, we have 20,000.
We pay him 20,000,
If we hired another building inspector, it would be 20,000.
yes. Well, if
Or if we
anybody will
contract.
take it for 20,000.
Or if we contracted through the county as a per inspection fee,
We're contracted through a private.
a private per inspection, so that we're not, you know,
And I think the county building inspector just part of the system too.
I would prefer to stay away from the county.
and that's. But there again, we could contract that out as a per inspection for a individual that could do it probably for a lot less money. I mean, we've got 100 inspections is a year, I mean, that's,
Well, I think we went off of paying on the percentage of the inspection fees or the total inspection fees for a flat rate to save money. And obviously, we're not saving money.
Well, it wasn't that high when, Mark was doing it either. We were paying him $25 an hour plus 75% of the building permits is what we were paying him.
And
You guys-
100% of the rest of the permits.
because I believe he was 60,000 is, I think.
He
you and
never
I-
made
Did
60,000.
you and I think you and I sat down and went through file boxes, was that you and I and Gary? When we went through the files on the building inspector and came up over 60,000?
I think so.
I can pull the 100 Rs. I don't think he ever made 60,000.
Cause I think you were flabbergasted that day that that's what we had paid, and, I mean, we were sitting here at this table.
1 year.
Huh?
It never got there again.
It only
Let me
took
look
once,
at
and
here.
that was the year we just happened to be looking at.
Well, I can show you.
Where's he at? Mark Cassada. He made $33,295,
What year was that?
2014. And these are random numbers that I pulled off the 100 Rs.
What did he make in 2015 or 16?
I'll have to go back and look at those. I just pulled random ones to just do the homework. I mean, this took hours, I mean, not even hours.
Because I think
days.
that day that we sat down, it was you and I and Gary sat here and went through the last year, and it was in excess of 60,000. Cause you sat there and went, you
I
couldn't
think-
believe those numbers were
No,
were
because
those
we took
numbers.
away the 75% permit fees, so I was astounded that they got that high, because I didn't think, but he had the Motel 6, or the Holiday Inn Express that he had to do, and, some of the big ones, so when you have a building on, but that's hither or non, what do you guys wanna do? Do you wanna go by the budget, the money we're actually getting, or the escalated cost? And just get us through get us through to July.
Well, I think we need to do what we need to do to keep our police officer
Well,
employed.
one of the other questions I asked, and we kinda hit on it, because I know with the salary ordinance, you got the different percentages. And part of the percentages, some of that, there's some general fund going in some other areas, am I correct? 'Cause I know
Well,
we can only come out of the general fund.
That's correct.
What about the CCD? We can't pay anything out of the
No.
CCD?
It is not statute by statute.
Okay, so, but the others can be adjusted?
No, the town council cannot be adjusted, they are where they're at. The clerk treasurer can never be adjusted, she's at where she's at.
I'm not talking about
The
the
deputy
amounts, I'm
clerk.
talking about the percentages going in here.
Oh, yeah, you can change those
That's
percentages,
my point.
but the state board of accounts audits me on how much work do I do for like the council? How much work do I do for the utility? I have to go by the audit that tells them I do 33% going to the general, 34 going to the water, and 33 for the wastewater. If I move all that stuff, their utility rates are gonna go up. Because they're gonna be paying me more out of utilities than what they are out of taxpayer money.
That ain't gonna happen.
So I try to divide it all up, 33, 34, 33, to be fair for everybody. So there is ways that you can make more money, Steve. We can go and do ordinance violations, that's part of the fun things. The revenue that comes out. I think you actually brought in $4,000 and, where's that paper at? fund,
When does Steve realize that money?
pardon me,
So much of this is in the rear. When does Steve realize that money? $4,000. When does he see that money?
it's going into the general account. He doesn't see it, it's added into the general fund, the total money coming into the town. So, the revenue account was, $4,349,984.40 is what the town took in for 2019.
Do you have a copy of the salary ordinance I can see?
I had it all figured out.
Shirley, have we always had 2 full-time and 1 part-time in the office?
It was Trina and I, and it got to a point where Trina just couldn't handle it anymore and she quit. So when she quit, then I hired Susie to come in, and Kelly was working part-time to fill in for when we wanted to need vacations or days off or something.
And it shows the building inspector is 100% from the general fund. That can't be split up any.
No, because he's not working streets, he's not doing anything for the water, and he's not doing anything for the wastewater.
Does he not manage the street department, the sewage department, and the water department?
No,
He does not manage them.
he just, the town manager
Town
does,
manager does.
but not the building inspector. The building
Correct.
inspector only goes out and inspects new bills. If someone wants an electrical thing put on their house, they're building a garage or something like that, it has nothing to do with
So the
streets.
town manager comes out of those other departments?
Yes. And he makes $47,000 from doing that.
Or he makes $67,000 doing both jobs
Right,
at the same time.
right.
How many hours a week does Wayne work?
Almost 60.
Do you keep a time card?
Yep, last 5 years.
Well, I don't think we need to leave Levi. Or any other officer as far as that's concerned.
Well, I think Steve's report was clear that with less officers, they're doing less calls,
Yeah.
Which
and
means-
Much meanness is
which
going
means
on.
our public is having more fun.
But see, the thing of it is that I don't understand is the county and the state is getting a huge amount of tax base. We get the trickle of that money. If we cannot seem to be able to afford the police officers that we have, the state and the county should be covering us.
They do
They're gonna
cover
have
us
to
on an
cover
emergent
themselves.
base only. If it's non-emergent, they're not here, because we have a police department.
There, you know, Sheriff's Department's running 11,000 calls for service all over Putnam County. You know, and they're, when we were 24/7, they dropped to 5% of having to respond here. They're back up to 16%. And they still got, and they've got an annual increase in their calls for service are going through the roof on the county side. I mean, we made payroll the last few years, and I'm not understanding the big shift. I mean, because we asked the one question about where did half of Rick's salary go, because that like vanished into the thin air. You came up with more employees in that office, I'm losing employees over here. What I keep getting asked all the time, why is there more people working in the front office and you have officers on the street?
Because you hire them and they leave. That's what it looks like, you have less officers, but you took
I
more
can't-
money out of the
But I
salaries.
can't hire another one, right, because I lost one whole position last year. So there's only 3 of us on the street, which is Adam, myself, and Levi. The school's got James over there, and he's half paid for by the school.
I think what the council needs to do is just let Steve get as many people as he can possibly get to cover the police department, and we'll see what happens with the budget.
Why are you gonna be like that?
Let him hire how many he needs, and then we'll go from there, and we'll see what happens at the end of the year, what happens to the budget.
Do you still have that $18,000 for overtime?
It was a make-believe number.
How am I supposed to work with make-believe?
Give that make-believe number to
Because I
Levi,
was-
so he can get his salary up, and we'll work on this budget at
Absolutely.
this point.
It is the escalate, it is this budget, this is what I give to the gateway. If I give them the exact numbers, they're not gonna give me the $602,000, they're gonna give me what I asked for, which would be $590,000. I blew that up, so when I said, okay, Steve, I'm gonna give you, $234,000, there's no way that budget can handle $234,000. I took everybody's overtime, like when Charlie and Luke quit, they had banked all that overtime. If I didn't do that, we wouldn't have been able to pay them
I
out.
understand that, but we've managed our comp and overtime. James is the only one right now, and the school's gonna pay that. So when we're looking at what we've got going, you know, right now with these guys, I asked what my salary, I mean, we're into March. And I see on the Gateway report, 236,745. You marked it down and told me I had 211,000. Planning, I went off of that. That 18 was included in that. Because the actual budget right now, salary that we're paying right now is 170 something, is what we're paying out. So where's,
So this was last year's budget. I asked them for $690,000, they gave me $601,000.
okay,
Same thing here, I budgeted $709,000, they're giving me $590,000. Somewhere, wherever that sheet is for this one. Those were the numbers I escalated all those numbers. You just come with me to the budget hearing in July, and I think you can understand this. And I think what I'll do in July is I will just give them the numbers that we need to have and not escalate anything, because this is confusing everybody.
So,
Okay, Steve is making 60,000, Adam's at roughly 42, Levi 41.
well, yeah, I propose stating the 40 with a 25-cent
40?
shift differential would be $40,520. She's got it right.
Okay, if I add up all these pay brackets for you guys, it's $163,000. What else comes out of that 211?
PERS, their unemployment, taxes, insurance.
But I thought in Gateway, perf and all that stuff's in a different line item than my salary ordinance was.
Plus all the equipment.
All these,
Well, I'm looking at the Gateway where you get the money for the perf. It shows the FICA is a different line item here because the police department's.
but it's in that total, line item for salary, so like, here's one. Services and charges, that's one, operating and supplies, that's one, it's all broke down in sections. It's not like, okay, utility manager, he gets $15,000 out of, the utility part, the labor is 45, then you add perf on top of their salaries, then you add a FICA on top of that, and that, it doesn't come out and closes. It should have broke down into a separate line item, but it didn't use yours.
Shows FICA right here, perf right here. These are all separate. And then it still shows the police department down here with the
336,000,
745.
okay.
And it says that was adopted.
It was adopted, but that doesn't mean that's what I'm getting. They adopted it, because I said, that's how much I want. They said, okay, we're gonna give it to you. But that means that is for 18 months. I am done. I won't have enough money from January to July to June until my next draw to pay it.
So the 236 is for 18 months, not 12.
That's correct. Because now what I do in June, I go in, I show them my fund report for June, how much money we spent, and then they take it to the next June. So that's 12, but then I have from June to December to pay the rest of the bills. Or if you wanna do it the other way, I get the draw in June, I get it in December, and then I have to have from December to June to be able to pay the rest of the bills. If I use every bit of that money that he put on there, I won't have anything left from December to
Well,
June.
let me ask you
to pay
this
the bill.
question, and this is specifically with the building inspector, because I was in the meeting with Phil Parker when Mark went away, because the police department took on the red tags and the ordinance violations, so they were splitting that in
Right,
half.
the code violation.
And at that time, those were 31 whatever a half. That's elevated now to 40,000. We're still doing the red tags and we're still doing the ordinance violations. So, I
Wayne
don't,
doesn't wanna do building inspector. He's
okay.
done, I mean, he has just, I mean, he's trying to do 3 jobs. He's trying to do payroll, he's trying to do town manager, and he's trying to do the building inspector. The building inspector is so important because that's gonna increase our assessed value in this town, which is gonna bring more money to the tax base, which is gonna pay you guys. If you do away with him, then we're not gonna get that tax increase. We're not gonna have anybody reporting
If I
to
do away
them.
with a police officer sitting back here who works 3 to 3 in the morning, when they make a phone call, 911 call, he's not gonna be able to answer the call.
I understand, Steve, that's what I'm saying. I just need to know which amount of money they want me to budget. I can get you another police officer. I got money in the public safety Lloyd to get you another car. We don't have to go in debt. I just need to know which budget they want me to give you at. You have been at the 45 to 50% budget. I need them to tell me which one to go for. So when you look at this and they say, yes, Cheryl, give him everything you got, I'm giving you this one. If they say, no, Cheryl, give him only what money we're gonna come in, I'm gonna give you the $590,000 budget. I'll break it down and give it to you and tell you what you're getting.
Question, you say you get money in June, to pay from June to December,
Right, that's your tax money. You
Oh,
pay it
let
in
me
April,
finish.
right.
and you get money in December, that should pay from December to June, and then you get another bunch in June.
Bunch is meaning 189,000 and 200,000. That's my tax draw. So it's not like I get this huge amount of money. It's very little to get me through to the next one.
Can you overinflate even more, Cheryl? Cause you said that you inflate and then they still give you less than. Can you over, I don't know, try to go up to 800,000?
So if I do, they would say that I don't have enough money. So it's like, I'll show you here.
Cause if you're inflating anyway, then let's really inflate and then maybe they'll give you even more.
So they'll take my beginning balance there.
Yeah,
This is the money I have.
yeah.
This is the money I spent. This is the money I have left over. So then in June, I'll go in there and I'll say I have 445, what is it?
Yeah, 445, yep.
I'll go in there and say, I have this much, how much is the state giving me? And then they'll calculate the 200,000, that's gonna give me the $6,000.
But what are they calculating that on? You said that they'll calculate.
So,
What are they using to determine how much money they're gonna give you?
Larry,
Because you said that
I'll tell you
you
that right
overinflate, so I'm thinking if you go up to 800,000 or a
We
million.
can
They know that I
and
don't
add
get that
James
kind of
right
money
now,
in there,
I wanna
and
make
what they
sure
do is all
I gave
the
legal
county,
when we get that.
all town, cities and stuff is giving Gateway this report, so they know how much the county's getting, and they know how to separate between the town, Cloverdale, Bainbridge, and all the others.
Yeah.
So it's all based on a percentage.
And do you know what that percentage
There's no
is?
head control cap there.
Does any of the other townships know what that percentage is?
No, cause it's
Wait, that's
it's
special.
approximate, you know, they don't know until the taxes come in. We lost Poet. What
Right.
kind of tax break is that gonna be for Poet?
You said you can get him another police officer now. We don't want another police officer. We want a raise for one police officer.
Okay. We definitely have the money to do it.
Then it's done. I motion that we raise his salary to the 40,
What was it, 40?
It'll be 45.20 is what it'll come out, 40,000 with 25 cent shift differential comes out to $40,520.
I'll second.
All in
Okay, I just
favor?
made a motion,
Aye.
right?
Aye.
Ray,
It was great, great.
yes.
And then that's comparable, like, to other surrounding agencies, so
Yeah.
like this should be,
It'll put Levi about where 3-year officers are, it'll put you within about 2,000 where three-year officers are. Sheriff's departments are 42.5.
Okay.
And then when they hit the 5-year mark, they go up to 48 now, 47.
Right around 40, I think it's like 46.5.
How about state?
State police start out at like 49, 50, or 52,000. Yeah,
But I mean, like for a small town,
We're not in a
like,
position to compete with.
yeah, we're not,
State
so that, we
county.
understand that.
Okay, anything else from town marshal?
No.
Any other discussion from the board?
I've got two questions.
Okay.
I'm under the impression that payroll is the clerk's job.
Says who?
Huh?
Says who?
Well, I think in Robert's rules it says that the
No.
clerk.
I am ultimately responsible for every money that comes out, cause I'm the one that gets
Well, I
audited.
was getting at it would be less work on Wayne to then he could handle the building inspector better.
Well, we actually have Trina working on doing, the payroll too, so we're in the process of hiring, or having Trina do payroll. We're in the process of finding someone to do a town manager job, and we're in the process of finding someone to do the clerk treasurer job, because at some point in time, we're not gonna be here, and we need to have someone trained and ready to go instead of just throwing them into a job that,
One
Then we have
other
a
question.
budget to double up those people to come in to be trained?
hopefully by the 3rd year, yes, we will.
One other question on the annual budget that you gave us here. There's 4 numbers down there at the bottom of it. I've been asking for those 4 numbers for quite some time. I'd like to have those monthly. Starting balance, revenue, debt, and balance at the end of the month. I'd like to have these figures monthly instead of annually. So we know where we stand monthly.
I think that goes
I
into
give
me
you the-
requesting that
No,
Steve get a
you
monthly
don't get-
budget.
You give us a whole bunch of papers.
It's a
Something.
fund report, that I give you. It's a fund report, that's my fund report, and I'll show you what it is, you get that.
All I read is 1 sheet of paper.
Yeah. Well, that'll blow it out.
So the balance, the revenue, the disbursement, and then your current balance. I give you that every month.
Okay.
And all that below is line items that.
So like the police donation, when you go across here, the police donation's here. Now, they're not gonna match up because it's a different fund report. This is from 12/1 to 12/20, well, it probably is the same one because that's my year-end report. That was my year-end that turned in.
For 2019.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So is Steve gonna hire another police officer?
He hasn't asked for another police officer.
Yet,
Well, I mean, that would be my intent down the road, but we need to figure out where we're at with, I need a budget, so I know what I'm working with. And we're trying to get Grant, see if we can get another officer hired.
will the grant pay for it?
Well, yes, there's a grant out there for 3
Long
years.
term.
Yeah,
It's a
So
long-term,
it
4-year
expired
plan.
in March 11th, so they don't know when the next grant round will come up.
don't you need a non-for-profit number for that?
No,
no.
Do we have a grant writer?
yes.
And what did you determine that she's gonna write for you now? Was
Well,
there anything,
Yeah, we've got a couple others, because there's one for cars, that Adam, what's it, 55%?
We're eligible for 55% on a new vehicle through that grant, yes. When there's some uniforms too or something, or equipment.
Vest,
Equipment,
yeah,
there's
vest.
vests, there's radios, there's.
So
there's
we're
all
trying to
kinds of
go
grants.
after some of those type of funds, so we can help augment the overall budget
vests have to be changed?
every 5 years.
Oh,
And
that
they each have to be
reminds
custom
me.
fit to each new officer.
Some reason, retain officers.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
When I redo this salary ordinance, Steve had asked me about having a uniform allowance done in their salary ordinance, because that would be taxable if they pay for it. And, I think we said like $1,000, so if he hired a new employee, we would give him a $2,000 check to go out and buy his uniform. And then after he's been here a year, whichever comes first, June or December, he'll get another $250, and then every 6 months, $250 for their uniforms. That way, it's not part of the town's, we had all those uniforms that was back there, it's actually, they're buying them, it's their property after that. Would that be something that you guys would consider doing?
You wanna explain your,
Well, the initial purchase, I think, we need to come out of operators, we need to control what it is they're getting at that point. After that, the sheriff's department gets 2,000 a year, 1,000 in June, 1,000 in December. What I looked at was actually 500 in June, 500 in December, because uniform, if you just try to get a replacement, these pants are like $63, the shirts, when they come in, are about $65, and a set of boots are about 65, or 119 or so. So you add that up, you have to replace that stuff and get seasonal clothes. 250 is gonna go out real quick. So, but the initial 2,000, we'd rather, because we've got a set clothing list that they need to get from, and I think it's like $1,700 when it comes down to it, especially if we get the vest, a grant for the vest. So
they could, if you hire somebody in the fall of the year, they could, with that 2,000, they could get their winter uniforms. Then by spring, they'd have
Well,
money
we could
there to
get-
go get their summer uniform.
we get their winter uniforms for them, and then in June they get 500, and
For
then
their
the following, yeah.
And then they could have, do their uniform base after that.
But we wanna make sure that we put a plan together that's gonna be sustainable. So we talked about, I'm working on a strategic plan right now that gives that overarching, you can see kind of
And
a
this goes into
5-year.
that 4-year plan that you're.
Done?
I think
So it's 2,000 and then $500 for every half? Is that correct? And
we're
that
not
would
gonna
be-
give them any money up front. We'll take them and get their initial clothing each year.
You can't do that. It's either our uniforms or it's their uniforms. You can't sit there and say the town's gonna buy them a $2,000 uniform for IRS.
Well,
This
then
is
what
an
we can do,
IRS
we'll
rule.
split out the clothing stuff, because the gun belts and stuff, we retain.
Region, that's town
Okay.
property.
That's town property.
Okay,
The stuff that touches their body, that's how we can differentiate between the two.
okay. What about their vests?
Well,
That's gonna be out of the grant.
that'll be out, we'll try to get out of the grants we're shooting for. If not, we've gotta provide them a vest.
Okay, but if they don't have a grant, this is what I need to know. I need to know,
The vest, we retain that, the vest.
and I thought you said that was made especially for that police officer, that they can't interchange that between one or the other.
Well, that's what we're using for our reserves right now.
Okay,
By law, I have to get them for our full-time officers, we have to get them a vest.
so that will be town-owned property.
That's
vest.
what all of them are right now, yes.
Steve, would there be an option on the vest if you don't get the grant? That when an officer leaves, they buy their vest because it's been,
Yeah, they can do that, yes. We
Even
have to
though
figure what the depreciation on it is.
you do have vests back there that aren't
That you-
usable right now, right?
I've got a couple, we got that one little tiny vest right now.
That won't fit Levi.
It will not fit Levi. No.
So we could recover some of our investment on the vest if an officer would leave.
Exactly, well, when I came in, we didn't have a spare set of handcuffs back there.
Right.
So we're trying to retain all that type of equipment.
Because if they left our agency and went to another agency, that vest could go with them.
Yes,
And they could use it on that other agency, so technically, they should be purchasing the vest from us if they go.
yes.
Something to think about and look at.
Maybe have to be working like an agreement, something like that. They'd be agreeable to do.
Well, that's stuff that, like, we need to come up with, rather than piece by piece, we need to come up with an overarching plan. That's what I'm trying to do, it's gonna make sense. The pressing thing tonight was his pay raise, so.
That's done, we'll work on your long-term.
Okay,
So public safety Lloyd, he has 75,000. Do you want him to split any of that with the fire department, or do you want him to have the whole 75,000?
Can you share that?
I mean, I can share it. Now, what I saw, once again, in Gateway showed 65,000. You said it is 75?
Yes. I think,
Because it was split out in Gateway, I believe, 25 and 49.
I don't know, but whatever it is.
What do we normally give the fire department?
Last year I gave him 25 and, Steve got the rest. And I had 75,000, Steve.
What you got?
Oh, that was for last year.
I was gonna say, I was pretty sure on here it said, oh, wait a minute, it's a different thing. Here it is. Public safety Lloyd, it shows a total of 65,000, and it's split out 25,000 for supplies and 40,000 for service and, repairs and maintenance.
That's for both departments?
Didn't they kind of alternate that year to year? One year they got,
Yeah, they got more because the police department, I bought him a couple cars or something, and, yeah, so the next year then I compensated and gave the fire department more. So this year, it's pretty well even.
because, I mean, obviously, the fire department has expenses and operating costs too, that you know, we have to try to do what we can for them also. There are both services needed. How much of that budget do you think you need, Steve?
Well, maybe it'd be a good time to start like a 50-50 split on them. Then at least we know what we got to work with here.
And that way it's distributed equally between the two agencies.
Curry's been a great partner for me, and
That's what I'm saying, both agencies need the money, and I would hate to penalize the fire department. You know, I understand we're struggling with the police department, but then we'll be struggling with the fire department, so I would say 50-50 split.
Okay,
You need that in a motion?
no, I got it in minutes.
Okay. Okay, no one's here from the fire department? There is, but there's not.
You can't talk about it.
That's fine.
Can I finish my?
Sure.
This receipt, I need a motion to approve the owed outstanding checks. After they're 2 years old in my books, I can resolve them and put them back into the funds that it came out of.
I'll motion.
All in
And you guys
favor?
all sign?
Aye. You want a signature on,
Yes, please, everyone.
just want us to sign ours?
Yes, just sign that one so I can put it in with my,
So sign a master.
yeah, just sign the bottom of it. And I need approval to pay the Stardust OA fees of $220,
That's to keep our pool privilege.
so we don't have full privileges.
Do you have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that takes care of me for tonight.
Town manager?
Good evening. Been a busy month for the guys. We've had 164 work orders. We had 26 shut-offs, had 28 turn-ons, 1 leak check. We had 10 downloads we done on the meters, 5 finals, 9 new customers. We had 8 rereads. We had 14 checks on the meters, 5 miscellaneous, and 58 returns. So, very busy month. Also on the, we had a pump that went down in the main lift. Service pump and repair come up and got that. He sent me a quote yesterday for the rebuild, $10,883, 90-day warranty. Brand new 1-year warranty, $12,470.
We go, 9,000 for a rebuild
$10,880,
and 12,000 for a new.
90-day warranty, 1-year warranty.
That's kind of a no-brainer.
Can't stand that.
Do you have a motion?
I'll motion that we purchase new.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Had the headworks, Then they looked at the headworks, part of the sewer plant, is the main part that all sewer from the whole town comes in. It's got a screen on there, that screen's set up to, carry most of the debris. And I won't go into details on the debris, all kinds of debris.
Pictures?
I can get you. I can get it.
What you're saying is it catches plastic parts and.
Plastic, paper, needles, everything goes and tries to catch that. They were down there looking at it, went back and done the paperwork, I guess back then, Triad was here and engineered that, which I haven't had a lot of good news from that group, but anyway, on those screens, they have openings kinda like this mic. Got a screen on there, and they got 3/8 holes in that screen. Way too big, and that's why the debris is getting in.
They're rusting
Burning
out.
up the pumps. Exactly. 1/4 inch, they said shouldn't be no more maximum 1/4 inch, so 3/8. Down the road, 2 or 3 years, just give you guys. it's,
Weren't these, didn't we talk about these and they're supposed to be changed out?
No, the screen.
Life
I never talked
expectancy?
about. No, not the headwork screen.
But the screen should
Yeah.
be replaced every so often, right?
Well, it is, 12, 13 years old. It runs 24/7, it never shuts off. 24, never ever since it's been put in, it's never shuts off. So eventually, we're gonna have to look at a screen system again.
That's where you got the shed built over.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Correct. You see that screen goes over, that's what that is. So, approximate cost is $250,000, so that's something we'll be looking at 2 years, 3 years, getting ready to replace that. They come and looked at it and said you can only maintenance and repair it so much. So, down the road, I'll keep coming back and we'll try to find a plan on paying for that thing. So, just a heads up on that one. The generators on 1 and 2 are in and it's done, they are working great. So that is completed and done. The SCADA system out at the water plant for Richard out there, that alarm system's all in and done. So, that was, more than what I thought was gonna be the setup, but we got through it and it's working great. And, something the town won't have to look at for another probably 20 years. So, all good and done. Let's see, 2 months ago, I think, maybe a month ago, time goes quick. You guys asked me to find out another price on the depot. I never could find anybody else that does restoration. I did contact Bill. Bill's here again tonight. He's the one that gave me another one. And I want to give that to you to see if you guys want to move it.
And look at it. That's
Oh,
all we
Oh,
got.
yeah, you guys got it. Yes, well, I can give you double copies, so. Anybody else want one? There you go. So to get it restored, and Bill's here if you got any questions for him. He's here to answer any questions you got. To get it up to par or up to where it should be, $39,831 and some change.
That's for inside and outside load.
That is correct.
And the shed too, right?
Yep, we're gonna clean up the shed as well.
Not a new shed, we're just gonna clean it up.
Yep, we're gonna clean it up.
Well, for my problems we're having, I would suggest do the inside or the outside. That would help on the cost, and do whichever one we do first, do the other later.
That money comes out of a whole different
I
fund.
know
You also set aside 50,000 for that, correct? So we've got the money set aside.
Do we have a plan for that building once this is done?
Get your guys' building.
Possible plan, but.
And if we decided to wait on this a year or two, what is that gonna do to that building as far as its present condition?
Break it down.
Is it gonna continue to deteriorate? Is it gonna?
We're at the point right now where it's starting to see weather deterioration, you know, caulking joints, water seeping in. I mean, water's gonna do the
So
damage.
the longer we wait, the worse it's gonna get.
It's just like any building, you do
Yeah.
nothing, it's going down.
Right across on Main Street's a good example of no maintenance.
Looking good now though, isn't it?
Looking a lot better, yes.
Only took a year.
But that's what you get when you don't do maintenance. I'm sorry.
We have the budget assigned for this. It would make sense to go ahead and take care of it now, and then we could pursue doing something with the building.
Yeah, that's definitely, we have to do something with it, we don't want it sitting there longer with nothing being done to it, you know, what I mean, used. And maybe recoup some of that money.
Because we surely can't in the condition it's in now.
Any other discussion?
I'll make the motion to go ahead and, honor this proposal.
Okay, do you have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
When will it start?
I think we need to probably wait till April, just to get a little bit better weather.
Thank you.
And I think that is it on the,
Okay, any other questions for town manager?
Thank you, Mike.
Building inspector?
reports online, oops, I'm sorry, somebody have a question?
I just got a question. You mentioned the water leak. I don't know if you was talking about the one in Stardust or not.
The, water main that they bored in and hit?
Okay, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I just wanted to know what the town policy is as far as notifying people when something like that happens, when they recommend, you boil the water. Do y'all send emails, put stuff on the doors, or do you get back with them and let them know? Because I have people calling me all the time saying, hey, well, can we stop boiling the water or what?
We're gonna have that on, the Cloverdale Hometown Charter webpage from now on, so that'll be on there, but we manually handle each door.
Okay. I just had several of them say they didn't receive everything.
Well, it's just that affected area is all
Right,
it gets.
right there in Love Florida.
Right, yeah, the rest of them, yeah, but every one of them got put in their door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, building inspector?
Yeah, reports online, you see downtown, they're moving forward. I don't know if they're gonna get it done by April like they hoped, but they're all moving well, things are looking good. The houses over at, Wishman Winds are keeping me busy, they got 6 of them going at one time, so I'm back and forth over there, and they're doing a good job there. And, the one over on Stardust, or Lincoln and Robert Weiss, he's got another one started there. So, 7 homes going at one time, so.
I have a question just about the Bales property.
May 18th or 19th is the official date, because they found asbestos in it. That's when I came, had that special meeting for the 1600. So I got over day, Leslie said it'd be the 18th or 19th of this month.
And you've got another house down here that,
Yes, oh yes, the one down there on First Street. 204, I think is what it used to be. I think it'd been better if they started over, but, I mean, they started and rebuilt it, yeah.
They basically did.
It's really done a really good job.
It's
It looks
nice.
tremendous. So, he said he'd like to do one, in Cloverdale every year, every winter. He found something like that home, good enough to rebuild, and he wants to maybe do one every year. So, that's what he does, to keep his guys busy in the winter. He's a block layer, concrete guy, but they do that in the off-season to keep his guys. So, and that's all I have.
okay, any other questions? Okay, redevelopment?
Redevelopment, we met, on a Thursday at 1 o'clock, and, we went over a possibility, and I think some of you already know it. We're looking at some floor plans. Maybe redevelopment will build a home over at Stardust or on Sunday Way. So we got a couple of floor plans picked out, and the next month we're gonna meet, Scott is gonna do a 3D layout of the house, to give us an idea of building a home there in Stardust. And, instead of just sitting there collecting no asset value, we figured we might as well put something there that sets an asset value for families, so there'd be more kids in school schools, the kids are kinda low with that, population over there, so we're figuring we can do more with kids.
Ryan, is that still gonna be the fourth Thursday of the month?
Yes, 1:00.
And what are we gonna do with that home when we get it built?
So,
Sell it, okay?
absolutely.
Anything else? Okay. Stormwater, we did have a short meeting this afternoon. We're gonna be doing some stormwater work on Bill Creek Street. And, that'll be finished up or done after the work is completed in Stardust. Planning, BZA,
We did not have a meeting, there's no agenda items.
okay. Park Board. New business. Resolution 2020-3, food and beverage use.
So resolution 2019-7, you guys approved, it was an August 13th meeting, the council approved spending $157,157 on a generator lift station for 1 and 2. The cost will be split with the food and beverage wastewater. You guys at that time spent $85,139.76 out of wastewater depreciation, and you split with food and beverage. The final, or the leftover balance is $72,017.24. That is your resolution 2020-3.
Okay, basically this has already been approved, right?
The first half has, now you're finishing out the total amount.
Did that, come in under budget or not?
No. According to Lori Curry's generation, or paperwork, the original contract sum was $157,000, and we already paid the $85,139.76. To finish, the last payment was $72,017.24.
So how much over were we?
Nothing, that totaled up to $157,157.
Okay, you have a motion?
I'll motion.
You have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Number 2, I will get that ordinance for you guys to increase those salaries and the uniform allowance.
Okay, that's 21.
Yes.
You probably should have a vote on that, I don't think you voted on that, right?
I think they did. I think it was Greg that made the motion.
Did you make the motion? Okay, yes, okay, I'm sorry.
Greg made the motion and Rick seconded.
The figures are different than what's on the agenda here, aren't they?
On what are you talking about?
But we just agreed a while ago.
Base salary for the police.
Are you talking about the food and beverage?
No, the
2020-2.
Line 21.
I think it was $500 twice a year as opposed to $250.
Oh, I got 500. Yeah. Where's that figure? You did 500 every half, right? I made it $1,000.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, that's what I got. 2,000 to start, $500 for every half, and best not included.
But did you have 75,000 or 65,000?
75.
75.
And that's what's getting split.
And that's split 50-50 between fire and
Okay,
police.
so these numbers are correct then. On the sheet there, on the agenda.
Actually, I think on the agenda it was, I think public $65,000 for the year. And half was gonna go to the fire department, half was to the police department, so I believe that's off 10,000.
Yes.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yes. And I have it
So
65.
it's 65, not the 75.
That's correct.
Okay, old business, skipping 2020-1 for now. Be on next month's, meeting. Farm ground bid,
Runs this year. Everybody want that farm there.
we have one bid, $500 for 7 acres. First payment of $250 will be brought into town hall by May 15th. Second payment will be delivered the 15th of November. Bid made by Chad Cummings, and that is our only bid.
That's the same one we have had,
I think he's the same one.
Same one every year, so.
same amount.
Is that what he paid last year?
I don't recall what he paid last year.
Sounds about right.
I think it's $750. I thought it was $750. Could be wrong, so.
Well, we only have one bid, I motion we accept it.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
North entrance of Stardust Hills was tabled from January 14th.
So yeah, I just briefly mention, starting to work on a plan to kind of, figure out maybe a resolution to that. Do intend on speaking with Mr. Getter, his attorney here soon, and seeing if maybe we could find some kind of resolution that's potentially where both parties can be happy.
Good.
I believe my attorney responded to the demand of the letter that we received. And, I would suggest one of the next things possibly that needs to be done is a, traffic count over a 2-week period, including weekends.
No, I don't think we wanna do a traffic study there. My
That was like
understanding,
$2,000 to do a traffic study or something?
that or more.
Pretty expensive, for sure. I don't know how much it would tell us, I mean,
We know the traffic. We know,
that, but yeah, it wouldn't necessarily tell us much.
wouldn't
about-
change anything, I don't think, at this point. I don't know that a traffic study would change anything. The intersection is what it is.
Give you some numbers.
Mark,
Does the amount of traffic concern you with the peril that is there?
I mean, I don't think it's the number of
It does
cars,
not.
it's the
A safety
view.
hazard is a safety hazard.
correct.
I mean, right, it's the view, not the number of cars, correct? Okay.
Okay, that's all? Dan?
How many accidents have we had out there in the last 5 to 10 years?
I know of
3 less because I've got good brakes.
What?
3 less than we should have because I have good brakes.
It only takes one.
And it's,
I understand, but what I'm saying is, I think, my personal thing, a large percent of this is operator problems.
Have you been out there lately, Dan?
I've drove in and out of that place for 39 years.
Yeah, but
The north end?
Never been hit, never come close.
yeah, but C-Bar C wasn't there 30 years ago.
No, but it is now.
Yeah,
Exactly.
horses and buggies move a lot still.
But I still say a lot of it is operator problems.
And it's the operator that's coming out of Stardust Hills is the problem.
And I think chief of police should tell you it'd be operator problems on Main Street, on the stoplight downtown. People's not watching.
People are
run-
running
people
too many
can't see.
stop signs, period, all over town.
Yes,
They're not
exactly.
watching, Dan, cause they
All
can't
over
see.
the country.
Huh?
They're not watching cause they can't see beyond the wall.
If they ease out, they will, but if they just,
You have to,
You
you
got
have
your
to
nose
ease out
sticking out in the
entirely into the intersection to see.
Yeah.
past
yeah,
the wall.
okay, never mind.
Okay, this meeting's adjourned.
Oh. I don't see any place for comments.
You had plenty.
Well, I was just talking, I didn't see nothing about comments.